Men's College World Series. Men's College World Series wrapped up today. LSU gets I don't actually remember what the final score was. I know Coastal Carolina made it close at the end.
5-3.
5-3. It was
Yep.
5-1 until the 9th, I believe.
Eighth or 7th or 8th.
Okay.
Coastal hit a 2-run home run to make it 5-3.
But it was Friday or Saturday was a much closer game. It was 1-0 at the bottom of the first and stayed that way until the end of the game. It was a really unfortunate first inning. Coastal Carolina, the shortstop has I would call it a tiny mental error. In the moment, it wasn't the biggest deal. There's a runner on first with 1 out, I believe. He takes a grounder, and instead of flipping it to the second baseman to get the lead guy at second, he just slings it to first.
Sure.
Takes the easy out. Then you have 2 outs, runner on second. LSU hits a single, scores a run, and then Coastal Carolina gets out of the inning without allowing anything else. But it was just really, it was the only run of the 9 innings allowed. And it was
Big deal.
Yeah, it was in the moment. It was not as painful because you didn't know it was going to be the only run. You kind of assumed Coastal Carolina was going to be able to get one. They had a lot of opportunities. At one point, they finished 0 for with runners in scoring position, and at one point it was 0 for 8. So they had at least 8 guys in scoring position and were not able to capitalize on any of them. So pretty tough 2 games from Coastal. The 28 game win streak comes to an end.
26, I believe.
Yeah. So they had a long win streak that comes to an end. They finish on a 2-game lose streak. But that's enough about Coastal. LSU just looked really good. Their 2 pitchers, their starting pitcher on Saturday, the projected number 1 overall pick, or a potential number 1 overall pick in this coming MLB draft, was just insane. No runs allowed, win a complete game, over 120 pitches, which is just, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that, like, I was watching it, and I watch more and more of the postseason of college baseball every year. But I feel like that's one of those things that you just don't see in the regular season. And then every
Correct.
year there's a guy or a couple guys that just kind of go out and they leave everything on the field. And they do what you kind of forget is possible because the whole regular season you've got guys on pitch counts and you've got coaches pulling guys in the 7th inning and the 8th inning with, they're throwing a no-hitter or a perfect game and they pull them. But in the postseason, they don't. They throw them back out there and they just keep going. It's insane. So LSU gets their 2nd World Series in 3 years, their 8th national championship in program history. So, yeah, they were a very good team. Shout out Jack.
Thank you.
Nailed it with the Coastal Carolina versus LSU matchup and then picked the winner. Me and JP both went 0 for 2. Or JP, did you pick Coastal?
That's not how that works. I went 1 for 2.
Yeah,
so.
JP
1
had
for
Coastal.
2? You had Coastal? I went 0 for 2. I was about to correct myself. I was asking if JP had Coastal. I couldn't remember. I don't have that memorized.
Happy to be right. I do wish Coastal won. I just really don't like LSU.
Yep.
Shocker. I've already mentioned on the show Coastal kind of has a special place in my heart. But yeah, LSU's just finished the season really strong, had been strong throughout the postseason. Their pitching staff is just so talented. The stuff they have out there from just an arm talent standpoint.
Did they throw 3 guys? They pitched a starter, and then they had a starter today. I stopped watching.
It may have just kind of been their 3 guys.
That's kind of crazy.
Which all throw heat.
Yeah.
All have good secondary stuff. It's just always going to be a tall task for Coastal, which they came in hot, so I did think there was a chance because this is baseball, and if the team's hot, that's all it takes.
We didn't even talk about the first inning today.
Well, that's what I was about to say.
Go for
It's
it.
kind of the big news of today was Coastal's coach. Well, secondary big news. The big news is LSU won. But Coastal's coach and first base coach got thrown out in the first inning of the game for arguing balls and strikes. Based on everything I've seen in the video, there was no reason for them to be thrown out. Coastal's coach basically said, "You've now missed 3, you've now missed 3 calls," and he was like 2 steps out of the dugout, and the ump tosses him. So just a complete ump show, and then you have the ump that trips and falls, and then acts like he gets pushed, and so adds onto the suspension.
Yeah.
Just kind of a bad look all around. It's just college baseball umps are truly terrible.
Yeah.
As much as I like kind of rag on MLB umps because they're bad too, it becomes next level with college. And I've seen a lot of people say like stuff like that can't happen in the finals or like in the final game, which is true. But like realistically, stuff like that just can't happen ever. But it's like, especially on a national stage, like college baseball doesn't really get the spotlight very often. And so then when some people that tune in that probably don't normally watch see that, it's just not great for the product.
Yeah. I will say one more thing about the product is from all of the people who were talking about the environment there, I was a little disappointed in what I heard. And, I get that the SEC is dominant and all that, but it seemed like everything about the production was in support of LSU. And I get that LSU has a lot of money and LSU is a big name program. But I also think the reality is I would say that the majority of the people watching were probably rooting for Coastal Carolina.
Sure.
So it's just a little disappointing how much media attention was on LSU when it was like this other team just has won 26 straight games to be here, just like LSU is also like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just a little sad.
Well, that's also part of the problem is when you bring in an announcer that doesn't really do college games and is like an MLB guy and like clearly doesn't know the sport and know the players. You're gonna get stuff like that. I didn't watch closely. I either didn't have it on or it was kind of background.
Yeah.
So I don't really know about production being biased. It also is just probably always gonna be a little biased when LSU is gonna be the team that packs out the place.
Yeah.
And has a lot more fans and stuff. It is just kind of luck of the draw in that sense, I guess. But they probably could have done a better job.
Yeah. But we look towards next year. I showed Jack a graphic earlier from this preseason, the preseason for the 2025 season, that had 50 college baseball coaches voting for their pick to win the championship. A&M had 84% of the votes, I believe. So I'm excited to start looking towards next preseason when hopefully Mississippi State shows up on that list.
Apparently, you don't want to show up on that list.
Yeah.
You want to be second on the list because LSU was second on the
LSU
list.
was second. Virginia was also on the list.
Mm-hmm. So maybe don't be on the list.
I mean, the winner was on the list.
Obviously you never know because it's sports, but like there is kind of a world where Jim Schlossnagle stays at A&M, and he now has a natty, and we have a natty.
Yeah.
Like the odds would have been a lot higher, but
yeah,
he chose Texas over a natty. So
yep, and a first round elimination or a regional elimination.
Yeah, they lost to the Roadrunners.
Yeah. So shout out Jim Schlossnagle. Gig 'em.
He did. Yeah, he did say that. He's still
All
an
right.
Aggie at heart.
I'm down to keep moving. That was a College World Series was super fun. College baseball super fun. It's football season. Well, we'll finish the NBA playoffs and then it's football season.
Draft on Wednesday, and then I'll give you its football season.
Okay, awesome.
I'm
awesome.
holding out for that. Yeah, we can move on unless JP, you have anything you want to add.
No, I do want to say though that I was correct. I gave the script. I told you 2 teams had a chance. One of those teams won.
Yeah.
6 straight for the SEC. So
that is the standard right now, is to have those 3 letters on your jersey, and that has continued to be proven again.
Dare I say
And
it just means more.
it does. It is. It definitely means more. So look for that to be a continued story next year, I hope, with the maroon and white of the dogs. We'll see. But
Good clarification there with the dogs. Jack was taking a breath to say something. I could see it in his eyes.
Yeah, he didn't give me time, sadly.